Walks connecting. This is London. This is London Walks. Streets ahead. Story time. History time.
Rule Britannia. Britannia rule the waves. And on that stirring note, that splendid note, we have liftoff. Up she goes, your daily London fix on this day, Thursday, March 12th, 2026. At no little risk of belaboring the obvious, Rule Britannia is one of the most famous patriotic songs ever written. The anthem of maritime Britain, the tune that still brings the house down every summer at the last night of the Proms. And it was written by a Covent Garden undertaker's son. Now that's a London story. So that's where we're going. Covent Garden, early morning, market carts rattling over the cobbles, porters shouting, flower girls laughing, theater folk drifting home after a long night at Drury Lane. And in a house in King Street, on this day in 1710, a boy is born. His name is Thomas Arne. You may not recognize the name, but you certainly know the tune he wrote. Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never, never, never shall be slaves. Yes, that one. The great chest-thumping anthem of Britain's age of sail. The composer of that tune was London through and through, from the get-go. So yes, born in Covent Garden, baptized at St. Paul's, Covent Garden, living his life in the tight little orbit of the West End theaters, Drury Lane, Bow Street, Lincoln's Inn Fields. His father was an upholsterer and undertaker, a solid, respectable trade. The sort of trade that meant young Thomas was expected to become something sensible, preferably a lawyer. But Thomas had other ideas. As a boy, he was sent off to Eton College, and there he drove everyone half mad by playing the recorder at all hours. At home, he practiced the spinet secretly at night, muffling the strings so no one would hear him. And when he wanted to sneak into the opera, he borrowed a servant's uniform and slipped in disguised as one of the staff. Now that's dedication. Eventually his father gave in. Music had him. There was no stopping it. And where better to make a musical career than the theaters of London? Arne began composing for the stage in the early 1730s, right in the thick of theaterland. Drury Lane, Covent Garden, Lincoln's Inn Fields. He lived in Great Queen Street, then near Craven Buildings, later Bow Street. If you plotted his addresses on a map, it would look like a tight little circle around the West End stages. And he quickly became one of London's most successful theatrical composers. He wrote music for comedies, operas, Shakespeare revivals, songs audiences walked out of the theater humming. He set Shakespeare lyrics like Under the Greenwood Tree. He wrote, Where the bee sucks, there suck I. But the song that would make him immortal came about in a rather curious way. In 1740, a masque was commissioned by Frederick, Prince of Wales. Now, Frederick was the son of King George II, but father and son did not get along, not at all. Frederick had effectively set up his own rival court, and his country seat was Cliveden House on the Thames. There, in the gardens, a grand entertainment was planned. The occasion? The 3rd birthday of the prince's daughter, Princess Augusta. That's right. One of the most patriotic songs ever written was first performed at a birthday party for a 3-year-old. The masque was called Alfred. The Alfred in question was King Alfred the Great, the Saxon ruler who defended England against Viking invasion. The message was clear enough. Britain, like Alfred's England, must remain strong, independent, unconquered. The words were written by the poet James Thomson. Arne supplied the music. And during the performance, a tenor stepped forward and sang a brand new song. Rule, Britannia. Britannia, rule the waves. Britons never, never, never shall be slaves. The audience loved it. Within a few years, the song had escaped from the masque entirely. It was sung in London concerts, performed in pleasure gardens like Vauxhall Gardens, taken up by audiences who knew a good tune when they heard one. And the timing could not have been better. Britain was discovering its destiny at sea. Trade, empire, naval power. Just the year before, Britain had gone to war with Spain in the War of Jenkins' Ear. Sea power mattered. So when audiences heard the line, Britannia rule the waves, it sounded less like a theater lyric and more like a national declaration. There's another delicious irony here. Arne was a Roman Catholic, which in 18th century Britain meant certain doors remained firmly closed to him. He never held the official royal musical posts that other composers enjoyed, yet this Catholic Covent Garden composer ended up writing two of Britain's great patriotic musical emblems, Rule Britannia and a setting of God Save the King. Arne went on composing for decades, operas, theater music, songs for London's pleasure gardens. He even earned a doctorate of music from Oxford. But like many theatrical composers, his fortunes rose and fell with fashion. By the end of his life, he was struggling financially. He reconciled with his estranged wife in 1777, and not long afterwards, he fell ill. Thomas Arne died in Bow Street, Covent Garden, in 1778. He died while talking about music. He was buried nearby in St. Paul's Churchyard, Covent Garden, the actor's church, right in the middle of the theater world that had made him. And today, if you wander through Covent Garden, you're walking the same streets where the composer of Rule Britannia lived and worked. King Street, Bow Street, Drury Lane, Lincoln's Inn Fields. Not bad for the undertaker's son who sneaked into the opera disguised as a servant, and who wrote a tune that still brings thousands of people to their feet every summer at the Royal Albert Hall. Rule Britannia indeed. And that's where we leave it today. This morning we had liftoff. Tomorrow we have touchdown. Because exactly 100 years ago tomorrow, March 13th, 1926, a small airplane came down at a London airfield in Edgware. The pilot climbed out. He'd just flown 16,000 miles, London to Cape Town and back again. His name was Alan Cobham, and tomorrow we'll tell the story of the flight that helped open the skies between London and Africa. So it's chalks away. And for a send-off, here's to good walking and good Londoning. See you tomorrow.